boys and girls of Buddhist Sunday School, all primary school students, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday School. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Now, for this lesson, we are going to have a very simple story, particularly suitable for the lower secondary students. Standard 1, Standard 2, Standard 3, and perhaps some preschool students even. Now, the narration or the telling of the story will be in English. The texts are in English and Bahasa Malaysia, or the Malay language. So you can learn English as well as Malay. Now, at the end of the story, we have a discussion on the important moral lesson you can learn from this presentation. Now, the title of the story is The Boy Who Liked to Tell Lies, Budak yang suka berbohong. And it is a children's story with a very good moral. And in Malay, it's a kisah kanak-kanak dengan nilai moral lah. Now, as usual, we will have a PowerPoint and I'll go over the simple story with you and do some explanation and comments. And at the end, we come to the most important slide, and that is the slide on the moral lessons, right? Now, before we show the presentation, let us check the setup for the presentation. It is correct. So, all right. So now we can show you the presentation, the PowerPoint. You can see the cover slide. The boy who liked to tell lies. I think you have heard some important stories about the danger of telling lies. One of the most famous, I think I have done this in the presentation before, is the boy who cried wolf, remember? The little boy that played a trick on the villagers when there was no wolf around, he lied and shouted for help. And then later on, when there was a real wolf coming to eat the sheep, nobody believed him. And the sheep, many sheep were killed. But this is another story. It's quite simple. And you see that this image is the image of Pinocchio. And usually lying is associated with this image of the nose growing long if you tell lies. So let us go on to the actual story. Slide 2. Slide 2. There was once a little boy named Jack who liked to tell lies. His father was very disappointed and sad. So there was this boy, Jack, who somehow or other picked up the bad habit of telling lies, not telling the truth, using false speech. And of course, we all know this is not a good thing. He's not practicing good morality. But he has got this habit already. So his father was not happy, felt that he should not do this. He was quite upset, sort of let down. Seorang budak yang kecil bernama Jack yang suka berbohong lah. So bapaknya sangat kecewa dan sedih. And you can see, perhaps the father tried to talk to him nicely, but he did not want to listen, you see. And the father had to use a very good method to teach him the importance of telling the truth and not lying. Now let us go on to slide 3. Now, how did Jack picked up this bad habit of lying. Now, Jack had learned from his friends that lying is the easiest way to get free from a problem. So that is terrible, you know. So you see, if you mix with the wrong friends who teach you wrong things, then you also can be led astray. And some children, you know, even from younger, like to tell lies, you know, go home, you know. So the friends encourage him to tell lies to solve a problem. So this way, you can be free from a problem or trouble lah. If, for example, the teacher asks you why you didn't do your homework, and you can bluff, tell a lie lah. Then you say you lost the questions lah, or some other lame excuses lah, lying lah, not telling the truth. When the truth is, I'm lazy, isn't it? Remember, there was this boy, right, who would come to school late, you know. So on one occasion, the teacher asked him, Johnny, why are you late? He said, teacher, as I was going out of the house, there was a dog, you know, and this dog was chasing me. So I had to go into the house and wait lah until the dog ran away lah. So that's why I was late. The teacher was not very convinced, doubtful, but then no proof that he was lying, you know. Then the teacher, okay, now show me your homework, right? You're supposed to pass up today. Teacher, I cannot give you the homework I have done. Why? Because the dog ate my homework. Oh, you see, telling lies, terrible, isn't it? That's a joke lah. So many other occasions, you hear of, you know, young people, and not only young people, adults also lie, you know. And today you have so many who have great professions, you know, they've gone to universities, but they lie and cheat, you know. Terrible, isn't it? And probably they had started this bad habit from young. And then when they become lawyers or accountants or politicians, they start to lie, or they continue lying. And it's terrible, isn't it? Many people will suffer. Later on, you will know lah, if your parents tell you, so many adults also lie. So you don't do that after you see the reasons, right? So that is this reason that he picked up the bad habit, right, from some of the lousy friends. Now let us go on to slide number 4. Slide number 4. Now let us look at this one. So as I said just now, he picked up the bad habit from the group of lousy friends, and he became very, very excited about lying, you know. He thought he was very clever lah. So he became fond of lying, you know. Like sometimes, let us say, he already had eaten his breakfast, and then, you know, let's say his auntie or uncle met him on the way to school. Then the auntie asked, Jack, have you eaten? No, I did not eat anything. So the auntie believed him and then went to buy some buns or some other items for him, you know. That is lying, isn't it? He had already taken. So in time to come, when people find out, you find people don't like you already, you have this habit of lying, isn't it? So he thought it was great fun, you know. Just like this case, this boy Bobby, you know, he was very, very naughty, probably standard 2 or standard 3. So one day, he put some chewing gum on the chair of the teacher, so that when the teacher sat on it, the gum would stick to the backside of the teacher, isn't it? So that's what happened. The teacher didn't know. This silly boy, right, Bobby, put the gum, the chewing gum, very sticky, you know. So the teacher sat on the chair, got the chewing gum on the backside, terrible. So then the teacher look around and say, who is that culprit? Who is that naughty boy or girl who put the chewing gum on my chair? Right? Then Johnny said, right? It's not me actually, I didn't do it, right? So he tried to give excuses, but then another friend said, I saw him doing it. It's Johnny. So the teacher was very, very angry. He said, Johnny, now tell the truth. Did you put the chewing gum? Otherwise, I will punish you. Then in the end, he had to admit it. Terrible, isn't it? Trying to lie. So you see, if you lie, you are not well liked. People don't like young ones, children who lie, isn't it? So, and then he would start telling lies to the parents. You say, no, like that. And then he will carry tales, not true ones, Right? And then he will tell one friend about another one, saying that the one is bad. It's not true. So a lot of lies, terrible. So people complain to his parents about Jack, liking to lie. Now we look at number 5. And in fact, the parents had caught him a few times lying, right? Like spilling something on the furniture and then denying it. Many things lah. And then like one day, for example, the mother, actually there was another sister, his sister also lah, right? So one day, the mother found that the cookie box, right, already open, So the mother suspected him. Jack, did you eat the cookie, the new cookies I made? I don't like peanut cookies. I did not go and take. Then the mother knew that it was him. So the mother asked, Jack, it was close. I didn't say it's peanut cookies. How did you know peanut cookies? So you must have eaten. Open your mouth. You could smell the smell of peanuts, telling lies, isn't it? So whenever the parents try to advise him, he would not listen. He would just shrug them off, ignore them. Didn't want to follow, right? Didn't want to follow the advice. And then he would try to give excuses. Lies never harm anyone. We just want to have some fun. It never harm anyone. That's what he thought. He was thinking it was great fun. So the father knew that one day must teach this Johnny the importance of telling the truth and not lying. Now, if you were to scold him, beat him, all this, that might not be the best method. But if he can find out for himself that lying is not good, it can cause a lot of trouble, a lot of pain, suffering, and hardship. So when he realizes for himself, then he can learn better and it will be quite permanent already. Good character developing. So we usually also in the Buddhist association, Buddhist Sunday school, we try to teach this way, not forcing the floor and shouting and warning and so on. Then the floor will rebel. So we try to give the reasoning, the good things. So that's how the Buddhist Sunday school functions, is it? So let us see what happens then. Whether Johnny, not Johnny, this case is Jack. Whether Jack can change his ways, especially the bad habit of lying. Now we go to number 6. Number 6. So Jack's father was concerned, very worried in a way about Jack always telling lies, because the father knew that if the bad habit was not corrected when he was young, later on you grow up to also have this habit of lying. As today you can see so many adults also lie. and then cheat, swindle people. You see, there are some people who sell things, not honest lying, you ask some of the sellers who are not honest, is this good? And is the price correct? Yes. But actually, it's not true. The fellow is lying. And some of the food stuff the fellow is selling is rotten already, not fresh. And he is lying. In time to come, you find people would not believe that particular salesman lah, or hawker lah, or businessman lah. And then you find he will lose business. He might be able to get away 1 or 2 times, but in time to come, people will spread the word around. This hawker or this seller is a dishonest person, right? He sells me bad eggs, and then he sells me a sick chicken, and all those things, so his reputation will go down. And then he overcharges people, Other places I found out actually 1 kilo of this food stuff are much cheaper than what he's selling, and he says he's giving her a very cheap price. He's lying always, So would you like such a person? Definitely not, isn't it? So you see, it's so important to be honest. The honest person, right, earns an honest living, is trusted, and his business will bloom. Actually, isn't it? People will go and patronize her and to be the customers lah. So Jack's father was concerned, bimbang lah tentang tabiat Jack yang suka bercakap bohong, Dia tahu dia perlu menjelaskan kepada Jack, anaknya, mengapa berbohong itu tidak baik. So he had to wait how to find an opportunity where he could teach the son in a very wise manner, and the son would realize for himself, right, the danger or the harm that lying can bring to him as well as to other people. Now let us see whether he can change, Jack can get rid of his habit of lying or not. So one evening, Jack and his father were walking down the street with some groceries. Now Jack followed the father to a grocery, will be like something like a mini market or a store, a shop that sells the foodstuffs, the goods, the items that the home would need one. So very often you think of groceries as vegetables, and then maybe milk, cereals, bread, all sorts of things, foodstuffs, is something like a mini market, you can say. Those days we didn't have, when I was young, we never had all those big supermarkets and shopping malls. We had those grocery shops, right? Small shops where you can get the various items for the home. Rice, sugar, salt, and then dried food stuff, canned food stuff, various things. Some would even sell vegetables. So the father went to buy certain things and he followed. So they were walking along the street to go home, perhaps not that far from the home. I mean, it's good actually sometimes to do walking exercise, isn't it? So you can see Jack and the father with the grocery. Of course, the picture doesn't show him carrying the groceries. Not easy to get the pictures, you see. But anyway, you understand. Then suddenly they heard a loud bang, at the distance away, Right? They heard. Now let's see. This one here. Let's not talk about the accident yet. They were still walking along the street. So what happened actually? Let us go on to slide number 8. At a distance. So it was maybe you could say 50 meters away or 60 meters away. They heard a loud bang, like a car crashing into something, And then sometimes you also have heard of such bangs or crashes, accident. So just then at the distance, Jack and his father saw actually at the distance, they could see there was this car, right? Like going out of control. Instead of going along the main road, right? So he sort of ran into the door of a bookshop, right? Crash into it. Of course, you have the wall there and so on. So there was a big sound, a big crash. So that was what Jack and the father heard and saw at the distance. So then the father and Jack began to walk towards the place of the accident just to find out what actually happened. So it was not that far. So they walked. So by that time, actually, the ambulance had come already and fetched the accident victims to the hospital already. But then you could see that the shop, the front of the shop, maybe the wall or the door or the window or whatever, was actually banged down or maybe was damaged already. Damaged because the car, driving to that, isn't it? A big bang, So then Jack and the father knew that the driver had crashed the car into the bookstore. Actually, what really happened? So the father and Jack also wanted to know, right? So they could learn certain things and avoid accidents later on. So let's see what happens. What actually happened, actually. So Jack saw, the father and Jack saw a few people surrounding that area. Some, of course, were in the bookstore already. So they came out and there were a few who were passerby. And then Jack's father saw one man standing near the scene, the area of the accident. So then Jack's father approached the man. He said, "Sir, good morning. What happened actually?" He asked the man. And the man explained, "What happened was this. The father and his teenage son were in the car that crashed into the bookshop. The son was driving the car. The son was driving quite recklessly, out of control, And the son was a teenager, so probably might be 16, 17 or 18, I could get a license, right? So he was a teenager. Whereas Jack was a primary school boy, like some of you who are following this presentation. So the man told the whole story. He said, actually, what happened was that this boy, Jack, told a lie, told a lie to the father that he could see clearly without spectacles. And that was not true. Now, how did the man know? Actually, before the ambulance came, probably the teenage son he was not injured badly, and the father was badly injured after you see, but he was quite okay, lucky. So he felt very sad to see the father like that. So you can say, "Oh, I'm very, very sorry, Actually, I could not see clearly. So when I drove, it was my vision was so bad, everything. I crashed into the bookshop . Actually, my father had asked me before to go and check my eyes, whether my vision was good, and I lied to my father, saying I'm okay, I can see very clearly, I don't need spectacles. Actually, he needed spectacles, so he was not telling the truth to the father, and this was the consequence. He could not see clearly without spectacles. He had to correct the vision. It's terrible, isn't it? When you have some eye problems and you don't take steps to correct your eye problem, then accidents can happen, isn't it? So you see how dangerous if you don't check the eyes when you have problems seeing already. So he was crying lah, this the teenage son the time and then ambulance came. Right? The ambulance came and fetched both the father who was more seriously injured and the son, the teenage son to the hospital. Now, I think that is explained in the next slide. Right? What happened to the father and his son in the car? Were they injured? Jack's father asked the man because the man was there the whole time, he could see for himself at near range the car crashing, and then the father quite seriously injured, but the teenage son was okay. That's how he got all the information. So then the man replied, you see, we immediately called for the ambulance, right? And then the ambulance had fetched them away already. And the father in the car was quite seriously injured. He was bleeding in certain parts. So some cuts at the body and the face. So he described. But he was still conscious. Right? But the son was lucky, very, very lucky. He escaped with minor injuries, which means maybe some scratches, a little bit of blood on the hands or whatever only. So then the man told Jack's father the ambulance had taken them to the hospital already. And then this man who witnessed the whole thing said, the son should not have lied to his father about his eye vision. The son had told him, right? He said because of that, you see, he was driving and the vision was not good. No clear seeing. So very dangerous, isn't it? You could have accidents happening. You could knock people down also. So dangerous. The father had already asked him. That's why he told the man. And he lied. He lied. He said that my vision was okay. And all this while, Jack, the little boy who liked to lie, was listening very attentively. So he followed everything. Actually, he's quite a smart fella, a smart boy. So he heard the whole thing. So that was what happened, the incident, and Jack and the father witnessed. They did not directly witness, right? They saw already at the distance and then went and then found out from the man. So then they proceeded, continue walking to go back home. So when Jack and the father reached home, right, the father had a talk with Jack. He said, Jack, son, I think the young man must have regretted that he had lied to his father. He had told his father that his eyes were okay, that he did not need spectacles, very clear vision, and he was lying. So because of that, when he was driving the car, it was very dangerous, isn't it? So that's how the accident happened. He could have killed the father, right? But the father did not die, serious injuries. So you see, Jack, lying is so dangerous. It can hurt oneself and others also. So then Jack listened very, very attentively. And he, you can see the picture there. He felt very, very sad and regretful of all the lies that he had told. Actually, he did not really tell very heavy lies. But if you don't check when you are young, then later on, from small lies, they become big lies, and then it will go on to cheating and swindling people. Just not to have fun already. They become adults. They want to get things. Maybe to have corruption, money, to gain certain things in the business. So lie, all those things. So then this Jack realized this very clearly. He realized that he had been wrong, right, by lying to his parents, to the teachers, and his friends. So then Jack probably apologized to the father, said, Daddy, I'm so sorry, I have been telling lies. Daddy, I will never lie again. I can see it's great danger. Right? So since that time, this incident, so he transformed. That's good. You realize for yourself, then you change, right? Without somebody forcing you or caning you or punishing you, but make you see the danger of a particular action or particular speech. So that was this thing of lying. So he learned a lesson, a very important life lesson. So you can see that this is a very, very simple story, but the lessons are very great. Of course, you are more familiar with the version of the boy who cried wolf. Many people have heard that, but this is another story, right, that talks about the importance of telling the truth, the danger of lying. But then it has a good ending for this family because Jack changed his ways. He did not lie anymore. He became a very honest person, always telling the truth. And of course, the news spread around. And of course, his parents grew more and more fond. They love him even more, isn't it? And the teachers and the friends also began to like him more and more because they knew that he had become an honest boy that never would tell lies. Isn't that a very good moral point? So now let us come to, I think, that important slide that talks about the lessons that we can learn. Most of them connected with the story, but I stretch it a bit so that you can learn some very important Dhamma, right? Now let's go to this slide. Oh yes, we come to the last slide. And you see I have 4 frames here, and each frame would contain a very important life lesson. You can say a Dhamma teaching. Life lessons, you find have a bearing with the Dharma. Dharma is everywhere. Important thing is not to just learn it to score an A, to pass the exam. Oh, I know this. But if you don't practice, then it's useless. At one stage, I was teaching the Pendidikan moral education to I think the Form 3 students. And so then they learn, they learn the moral values, do not lie, do not cheat. But in the test, I can see there are people or there were students copying, cheating, Isn't it ironical? You learn moral lessons that cheating is bad, and yet you do it, Then what's the use? You get the A, also useless. So you see, this learning a theory, but you must know the theory and then practice it. So now let us. Now you find there's a background, a washout, we call it, to show Pinocchio with the nose coming out actually. And this tells us this very important message: do not lie. Right? So he gets a warn, maybe by the teacher or an elderly person, the grandfather or whatever, right? Okay, now let us go to the first of the lessons. What is this? Honesty is the best policy. I've done a few presentations on this with other stories. To be honest is a very important thing. We have a lot of problems in society today because many people are not honest. They tell lies, they cheat, they con people, and that make people suffer. So it is very important always to tell the truth. Unfortunately, despite the Pendidikan moral, there are so many who do not follow the teachings. They are not honest. They lie to their parents. They lie to the teachers. So there was this person. Let me tell you about this. So he was a young man working in a firm with the manager there. So there was one occasion, he did not go to work for 3 days, He did not go to work, He did not go to work. I think it was a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday. Then only he turned up on Monday. Saturday, Sunday, no work lah. So the boss called him up, right? Yes, I saw. Why were you absent for 3 days and you did not come to work? What's the reason? He said, boss, my grandmother passed away, old lady. Actually, he was a young man, 20 over, so of course the grandmother could still be around for some time. So he said, my grandmother passed away. So she passed away, then, at the 3rd day only, we would have the funeral. So Wednesday, she passed away, then Thursday, Friday, so Friday was the funeral. That's why I did not come to work, boss. And of course, Saturday, Sunday are normal holidays. This boss actually knew this family, right? He knew about the family, his grandmother, his parents, right? So maybe it was not a very big town. Or maybe somebody, of the family had approached the boss or then introduced the son or whatever. But anyway, he knew. He said, oh, how is it that on Saturday, I went to the supermarket and I saw your mother and grandmother shopping in the supermarket. But you say your grandmother passed away on Wednesday and the funeral was on Friday? So you mean your grandmother's ghost came back and went with your mother to the supermarket to do shopping? You are lying. Oh, caught already, no? You see, so maybe he was either sad, right? Or maybe had to give up 1 month of pay. So there was a punishment. The boss found out that way. So honesty is still the best policy. If you're sick, you produce a medical sheet and say that you cannot go to work. So people don't realize this. Until one day, then they know the truth. In the Buddha's teaching, this is very important. Let us go to the next slide. Now, what about the next slide? No, not the next slide. The next frame, actually. Lying is breaking a moral precept. It will have bad consequences. Consequences will mean the akibat, the results that come. And of course, for those Buddhist children who attend our Sunday school, every time on Sunday, before you go to classes, you have the chanting of the Buddha Puja. And one of the things you will chant is the 5 precepts. I undertake the training rule not to kill. Panatipata, Veramani, Sikkhapadang, Samadhiyami. You chant, isn't it? But do you know the meaning and do you put into action? Sometimes I ask them, they don't know, in the Sunday school, they've been chanting, how to chant. It's the first precept of not to kill because it causes other people to suffer. Then the second one, then you know what is the second one, right? Adina, Dana, Veramani, Sikkhapadang, Samadhiyami. And they take the precept not to steal or not to take what is not given. And then you have the third precept, I undertake the precept not to commit sexual misconduct, right? And then it's the fourth one now. The fourth one is Musawada, Veramani, Sikkhapadang, Samadhiyami. Undertake the precept not to lie. So it's a moral precept, no? Right? That you make a pleasure. You say that I undertake this training rule that I will not lie because you know that lying will bring suffering to yourself and to others. And in the Dhamma, that if a person lies and then causing harm and suffering, then there will be bad akibat. The akibat buruk. The later part in life, maybe you will meet with something not so nice. Or maybe the law may catch up on you because you lie in the court, that is a serious offense, to lie. And then even if you escape all the laws of the society, but then a day will come when we pass away, isn't it? Then we may be reborn in a situation where, you know, you will suffer the consequence of your dishonesty, of your lying. You will find you might, maybe you're lucky, you might be reborn as a human being, but somehow or other you face a lot of problems. People don't trust you and your business is not successful and all sorts of things. And it could be due to your breaking of this precept of lying. So remember, berbohong adalah melanggar prinsip moral. Ia akan membawa akibat buruk. So you remember this, then you know you always will think the consequence will be bad. This life or future life. So I must always tell the truth. So that is this important aspect. That is the fourth precept, isn't it? Okay, now let us go on to the third frame. People who lie are irresponsible and cannot be trusted by others. Isn't it very true? You find that you can actually cause so much suffering. Like for example, right? Let's say a professional, you have an architect or engineer, so they have to submit plans and so on. So, and then the authorities will question them, are all these plans in order? Have they been checked by the higher authorities? Actually, they have not, you know, and they lie, they say, yeah, okay, already, everything okay. Not honest. Understand? So, they lie about very serious things also, no. Just because they want to get money more. And then one day you find because the plans were not actually checked and vetted by higher authorities. So let's say the building is built or the bridge is built, and you find that because the plans were not really in order, then one day the building collapses or the bridge, well, serious problem, it collapses. And likewise also you have roads and then you have so many things when people are not honest and they lie and cheat, they're causing harm to people, isn't it? Other people. And they themselves also will get the suffering because later on when these things happen, they will have a guilty conscience. They will have the feelings of guilt in the mind. They cannot sleep well because they have lied, they have cheated and caused so much suffering to people. Correct or not? So when you think of this, wow, it can be very dangerous. Yeah, you don't check the habit. I remember there was, you know, this boy, I taught him. He was a nice fella, but one of his weaknesses was this lying. So sometimes he would tell me this, you tell me that. So I don't know actually, you know, where the truth is. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's lying. So how to know? Then later on also I lost contact with him. I heard that he grew up and then got a job, but he was always not successful in his work. He would fail in the business and then would switch job again. And one of the reasons I could say was because he could not be trusted. He was not responsible and he lied on things. So people who lie are actually lacking in responsibility. And then in time to come, people will know really this person cannot be trusted. He's not honest. So he won't be given the projects. But today, unfortunately, you find a lot of corruption going on. So people who lie and then who cannot be trusted and still given the project to do, and they make a mess of it. And so many people suffer. And that is bad karma. That is a karmic evil. And there will be a consequence. Do bad and bad befalls you. You remember? Good begets good, bad begets bad, isn't it? So if you lie and cheat, that is considered an unwholesome or bad action. And you will have to face with the bad consequences, the dukkha, the suffering that will come. Later on, you might be cheated. Or the law might catch up upon you and you can be sentenced to jail for lying, for cheating. And some you find even cheat the court. The court you're supposed to swear. whatever religion, you swear on the Bible or swear on the Quran. And yet they lie. Definitely there will be some people lying. Because let's say you have two people, right? And one says this and the other says the opposite thing. How can the thing be true? How can both of them be honest? One is probably telling the truth. The other one is lying. So, you know, the judge with the jury will have to determine who is the liar now. Sometimes it's not an easy task. They have to find witnesses and get the evidence. Right? But whatever it is a moral principle. You cheat, you lie, you have broken a moral rule. All religions teach about that also. Whether it's Christianity, Buddhism, or Islam, or Hinduism, we know that lying and cheating are bad actions. And if you carry out these bad actions, there's a price to pay. You think you can escape? You may escape the police, or maybe you bribe your way out. The police close one eye maybe because you bribe. That is also a terrible action already. You say you've done something bad already. Now worse, the more you go and bribe. But then, can you get all the wealth and all the things you gain forever? One day, maybe you're 40, 50, then just suddenly, oh, I have cancer already. Now you can't even take 1 cent with you. You can't even take your body with you. So, what's the use, isn't it? Your wrong actions of lying and cheating have brought you this situation of suffering. And the worst thing is, after the death, it's not the end of things already. You will have a bad rebirth because of your wrong actions, your bad karma. So when you are wise and you think about this, then you know it is very important to be honest, not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal. Understand? But sad to say, so many young people also, you find I taught students, and then sometimes the students also, I know that they are not honest, they are cheating. I advise them. They say, brother, never mind, we can escape, we can gain the money, and maybe the money we gain, we can go and help people. That's what they talk to me. It's a black money, right? Then you find that they don't do it actually. They want this for themselves. They think they are so charitable. So remember this. Now let us go to the last frame, right? This is very important. And this actually concerns the story. And the principle is this, or the advice is this: do not mix with bad friends and get into the habit of lying. You see, usually a lot of things start when these people were young. They probably did not receive good upbringing from the home. No good education is given to them. And in schools, nowadays especially, they don't teach much about this. They all center on the examinations. They don't develop the quality of honesty and many other moral values. Everything is just based on, can you get an A for that or not? So as a result, you have intellectual crooks. They may be going to universities also. And they become lawyers, doctors, accountants, and other professional people. But they are not honest people. And they can even become great, not great, they become top politicians, ministers and so on. But they are not honest. Like, even in Malaysia, there was this case of a minister, right? Wow, he somehow, I don't know, amassed millions and millions, not billions of property, a lot of wealth, money, houses, everything. But this thing all came out only after he died. He died in a plane crash or helicopter crash, something like that. And something like the mother sued him because the property and wealth was not divided fairly among the various family members, the mother, the wife, the son. So the mother was not happy, and that's how all the thing came out, right? The court case came out. So how did he get all this wealth? Definitely he was not honest earning, isn't it? Obviously. So he probably had been corrupted. So you can see that it's very important the company, the friends you mix with. In one of the discourses or the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha advised, do not associate with fools, associate with the wise ones. A very important thing in what we call the teaching or discourse on blessings, Mangala Sutta. The Buddha advised that. Now, what is the reason? Who are the fools? The fools are the bad people, lah. Or the fools are those who don't follow the Dhamma teachings. They don't keep the precepts well. They think that everything is just money, get as much money and power or titles as you can. That's the important thing. Then they will be happy. It's not like that. So you follow this type of people, then one day you may be a victim of this situation and you will suffer. So don't think that it's just money or fame, right? Or power that will make you happy. If that's the case, why is it that some of the very famous pop singers are K-pop, or some of the actors and actresses who earn so much money, right, commit suicide? They committed suicide. Why? Because the mind is not happy and peaceful. So when you realize this, you know that you must live a very honest, righteous, moral life. This is just one of the precepts only. You know, as a Buddhist, you need to follow 5 precepts. You are not a monk or a nun. You are ordinary lay people, we call it, at home. So these 5 principles, remember the 5 training rules. 1, do not kill living beings. 2, do not steal or rob or take things that are not given to you, because it will cause suffering to other people. You're not given those things, or you want certain things, you have not got permission, and you just take, and then people hunt for the thing high and low, like they cause suffering. That is also wrong. And the 3rd thing is sexual misconduct. Of course, if you're in primary school, you may not understand that much, but nowadays children are very, very smart. That means if you are married already, you must not go for another man's wife or another girl, another woman. If you are a lady who is married, you must not go for another man or another lady's husband. Things like that. You cause disruption to the family, isn't it? And also, of course, now you hear of sexual harassment. They go and disturb sexually another person. Or rape even. Oh, so terrible, isn't it? Rape, rogol, isn't it? So that's the 3rd one. And the 4th one, you know, the basic one is do not lie, but you have other things like do not say bad about other people. Do not use harsh speech, very terrible words that can hurt another person. And of course, you also must not gossip and spread rumors. All these are unwholesome or bad things that you should avoid. And then, of course, you know, the 5th one is do not take liquor. Oh, that means alcohol. You start with beer, then later on you want vodka or whiskey and so on. Then after that you go for drugs. Your whole life ruined. You suffer this life, not only this life, but future life too, because your mind affected already. That's why you see now. So people have also wondered why some are born cacat, the kanak cacat, or some so slow, so dull, they have a type of mental illnesses. Why? God made the blood like that. And according to what I learned from the Dhamma, and also the monks have said, that one of the things is you always get intoxicated by drinking the mineral arak, taking drugs. Don't have to wait until you go to the next life. This life itself, later part, you become senile already. Forget this, forget that, like blur already. So you see how to keep your mind mindful, study, avoid these chemicals that can harm the brain and the mind connected, right? So I have spoken at length already, coming also to 55 minutes already. And it's a very simple story, but I have conveyed very, very important Dhamma points, Dhamma teachings, which you learn, and if you understand and you practice, then you'll be happy and peaceful in your life not only this life, but also future lives, right? So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to thank all you students in the primary school, particularly, also maybe some secondary students, Form 1, Form 2, and also the parents and grandparents who are following it for the main reason of imparting moral education to the younger ones, right? So parents, grandparents play a very important part to teach the moral education to the young ones, isn't it? And then of course to the teachers, right, who teach in the Sunday school or Dhamma classes, who teach Pendidikan moral and so on. So I would like to say sadhu and thanks to all of you lah. So let us now conclude by saying sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Boys and girls, primary school students, and all who have followed this presentation, may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. May you all lead a moral life. Right? Don't break any of the precepts. Take care.